Ecovacs X8 Pro Omni is finally here, Ecovacs' first mopping robot with a rolling mopping brush. Let's find out more. Ever since I had wet and dry vacuums, which is many years ago, I fell in love with the technology of a rotating, rolling brush that is constantly being fed with water and at the same time is sucking out all the dirty water. It was a great modern take on the traditional mop and water bucket. And then when mopping robots started coming along, I've expressed my surprise multiple times on the channel in the past that they did not implement the same mopping mechanisms on these robots, but either had a mopping pad that later started to vibrate to mimic scrubbing action, or to rotating mopping pads that also mimic scrubbing. The problem with that approach is that this is very much like dragging a dirty mop across your floors. When the microfiber gets dirty or saturated, you're going to be dragging all that dirt across your floors. Now, granted, a lot of them can go back to the base and clean the mop midway through their cleaning cycle, but still, it never struck me as a great way to mop the floors. Now, fortunately, we have started seeing some robots that have that same rolling mopping brush. Last year, I did a review of the SwitchBot S10 Pro, which has that. Eufy has a model that has a 3i as well, but none of the major players in the robot vacuum market had that solution up until now with the Ecovacs X8 Pro Omni. And the advantage of that mopping mechanism is that that rotating brush is constantly being fed with water from multiple nozzles all across. There's a squeegee that sits on top of that rotating brush, and everything it's cleaning as it's rotating is getting squeegeed and sucked into a dirty water tank on the robot itself, thus by always cleaning with fresh water and never dragging along the dirt or whatever you've cleaned across your floors. But does it actually work well? Well, before I show you the cleaning tests and tell you about my experience, let me tell you a few of the features of the X8 Pro Omni. In terms of design, I really like how it looks. It really looks very nice and very premium. It's black with gold accents. There's no LiDAR tower on the robot itself. The water tanks look very nice. You've got the dirty water tank and the clean water tank, and just below them there's a compartment that hides the dust bag, but also a detergent tank for adding cleaning solution that the robot will automatically mix in the right proportions with the water. Of course, the main highlight is that Ozmo roller, and what's great is that it also extends outwards to get close to the edge. They call it true edge, which is great because otherwise you're not going to get any close to the edge. It also has a zero tangle hairbrush, and we'll see how effective that is later in the cleaning tests. It has AI instant remop, which is great, and it can actually detect when there's a stain on the floor that's still there and go back and remop that same area. In terms of navigation, it uses both DTOF or direct time of flight, which is a laser pulse that it emits, and then it measures the time it takes for it to bounce off whatever objects and come back to calculate the distance, but also it uses a camera to capture visual details. And with the X8 Pro Omni, you can actually access that camera through a video call or simply to see whatever the robot is seeing as it is mopping. Another interesting feature is that it has hot water mop washing, and this can be configured ranging from 40 to 75 degrees depending on which room it cleaned. I'm not sure exactly how it determines what room corresponds to what temperature, but we'll see it later in the app. You have the option to select deep cleaning, which I assume would take it to the highest temperature. It also has 63-degree hot air drying of the rolling brush, which is great, so it doesn't develop bad odors, and has an auto solution dispensing tank, which is great. You can fill this up with cleaning detergent or solution, and it will automatically add it in the right proportion to the water in the water tank. So now let's take a look at the app to see what options we can see. Of course, the first run, it's gonna map your house, and you have all the typical options of renaming the rooms, merging, etc. In terms of cleaning, you can do vacuum and mop, or you can do mop after vacuum. So it will start with mopping your floors and then vacuum them. Now, if you notice, there's no mopping only function. However, I did notice that if you select a particular zone to clean, which you can do by clicking on this icon over here, then that over here near the start button is mopping only. So it will go out there and simply mop the area without any vacuuming. But as you can see, it only works if the area is less than 4 meters. So if you have any spot that you want to mop, you can simply select that area on the map and have it go out there and just mop it. So let's say you have vacuum mop selected, so it's going to vacuum and mop the floors at the same time, which is how I always have it. You have 5 options for the suction power, ranging from quiet mode to standard mode to strong mode to max suction. Another really nice thing is you have granular control over the water flow, which you can customize from 1 up to 50. Now, one thing I did notice when it is at 50, it kept going back to the water station every 5 to 7 minutes. It says to clean the brush roll, which didn't make sense because the brush roll is constantly being cleaned as it is rotating. However, what I notice is that it's going back to the station to empty the dirty water tank, which does not have a very large capacity. So when you have it set at 50, you're going to get 5 to 10 minutes of mopping before that dirty water tank fills up and it has to go back to the station and empty it. You can also change the cleaning speed from standard to deep cleaning or to quick. And you can select if you want 1 or 2 cleaning passes as it works its way around your house. Now you can also go to advanced robot settings, and here you can set a sequence in which you want it to start cleaning. For example, I want it to start with the bedroom, then go to the kitchen, then the living room for some reason. So it will start cleaning in that sequence. You can toggle on and off auto resume. You can clean along the floor to reduce the noise it makes. And then you've got a few carpet settings. So you can activate suction boost. So if it detects a carpet, it's going to increase the suction for more efficiency on the carpet. You can activate clean carpet first, which means it goes out, cleans the carpet before it does any mopping, therefore ensuring it does not get them wet. And you can activate carpet deep cleaning, in which it will spend more time on the carpets in a zigzag motion to deep clean them. You can also edit carpets over here. So there's a carpet over here that it was detected, and you can select if you want no entry, so the robot will not go over it. If you want vacuum only, so it's only going to vacuum it. If you want pass only, which means it's going to pass through the carpet to get to other areas or places or rooms. Or you can select as on floor. If you have a map, for example, which is waterproof, you can clean it the same way it cleans a floor. You can also add your own carpet as a round carpet or a rectangle carpet anywhere on the map. And then further options with the carpet, you can either select standard recognition or sensitive in case you have ultra thin carpets. And then there's a couple of smart settings. There's AI intelligent hosting, which automatically changes the cleaning parameters based on what it learns as it cleans your house. You've also got the intelligent deep mopping, which is great. If it detects a dirty area, it will go back and remop that area. And we'll see that in the cleaning tests. You can activate or deactivate the adaptive edge cleaning, which will extend the Ozmo roller to the edge to clean closer to the edges. And when the robot is on the base station, you can of course manually empty the dustbin, wash the mop, or dry the mop. And in the base station settings, you can select if you want it to auto empty every time it goes back to the dock, whether it's standard or high frequency. You can change the dust collection power from standard to quiet mode. And this is where you can set the temperature for the mop washing. So you can select eco, and this is going to be the lower range of the temperature. Standard, which is probably going to be mid-range. And then deep cleaning, which is probably going to be the highest temperature setting. Or intelligent control, which would intelligently, I guess, adapt the temperature based on what room it is cleaned. Now, again, I'm not sure how Ecovacs determines what room corresponds to what temperature. Personally, I had it on deep to make sure it's cleaning always with the highest temperature water. You can also configure the mop auto wash frequency, either select it at smart, which again, it will go back to clean the mop whenever it detects it is dirty enough, or if the water tank is full. You can do it by room. So whenever it finishes a particular room, it goes back to clean the mop and empty the water tank, or by time every 10, 15, or 20 minutes. And then you can configure the hot air drying duration from 2 hours, 3 hours, or 4 hours. If you have on-peak, off-peak hours with your electricity, you can also enable off-peak charging so that it only charges at off-peak hours. And lastly, you can toggle on or off the intelligent solution, automatic addition of cleaning solution. Now, another interesting thing I want to show you, if you go over here, you have scenarios. And what these are is you create your own custom route of cleaning. And what's really nice about that is that you can really customize not only the order it cleans the rooms, but also how it cleans each one. So for example, if I wanted to start with the living room, and then I can change the cleaning mode to vacuum and mop with, let's say, quiet suction, and I don't need a lot of water, so I can put it at medium and only one pass. And then after the living room, I wanted to clean the kitchen, so I select that, I change the cleaning mode. This one, I want it with standard power. The kitchen is often dirty, so let's do higher water flow and let it do 2 passes. Select done, and then we can add the bedroom cleaning mode. I only needed the vacuum, and let's say suction power on max and only 1 pass, and click done. So you get your own custom route with cleaning preferences for each room, which I found quite interesting. And the last thing I want to show you, there's that video camera on top over here. And if you click that, you're going to be able to control the robot and see whatever it's seeing. You also have the option to do a voice call. So if you do that, you're going to activate the microphone on the robot and on your phone, and you can speak with whomever is there. So now let's talk about the cleaning tests. I did my standard cleaning tests with the coffee stain and the ketchup stain, both of which are dried out over 12 hours. These are the tests I usually put the wet and dry vacuums through, which are generally far more powerful and capable than a mopping robot. But I was curious, is the X8 Pro Omni able to tackle those stains? And to my pleasant surprise, the answer is yes. Now, from the first run, intelligent remopping was not enabled. It barely did anything on those stains, and that was because it was just 1 pass, and obviously that's not enough. So then I enabled the remopping and set the robot back to the kitchen, and I was very pleasantly surprised that it actually got the ketchup stain out. And dried ketchup, if you've never experienced that, is a very tough stain to get out. All the wet and dry vacuums that I've tested eventually do get it out, but they require so many passes before they can get it out. And I was very impressed that not only did the robot get the stain out, it actually detected that the stain is there, and it kept coming back to clean it, which is something most robots cannot do. And that's my problem with robots cleaning a stain. They're just going to go 1-2 pass on over it. In a lot of cases, if it's a stuck on stain, it's not going to be gone. Then you're going to have to manually send the robot back again every single time, or draw that area on the map. Whereas with the X8 Pro Omni, it was able to detect that the stain is still there and kept on cleaning until it was gone. Now with the coffee stain, it was a little less successful. Not with cleaning it, but rather with detecting the stain. And my theory here is that it's using the camera to detect the stain, and the coffee stain blends with the tile colors that I have in my kitchen, whereas the ketchup stain is a bright red that stands out. So my theory is that's why it was not able to detect that stain. But yeah, I was very impressed with the cleaning performance over here. A little bit less impressed with the edge cleaning, but that was kind of expected. While the Ozmo roller does extend outwards and it does get closer to the edge, the way the roller is designed, there's that plastic housing and it doesn't get all the way to the edge. But for your daily maintenance cleaning, I think it does a great job at getting quite close to the edge. Now, for the sake of it, I did one more test, which I would not recommend you guys do at home, because these robots are not designed to tackle such messes, and that's the fresh ketchup stain. Again, this is a test that I do on the wet and dry vacuums, which are designed to tackle messes like this. Robots are not, and even this one that has a rotating mop. And that's because with a wet and dry stick vacuum, first of all, the roller extends throughout the entire width of that machine, whereas it's not the case here. Furthermore, you are in control of that machine, so you can go over the mess with the roller first and get it all out, whereas with the robot vacuum, you have less control, and as you can see, it can drive itself backwards or sideways onto that fresh ketchup stain. The side brush also hit that ketchup, and that got dirty. But still, in the name of science and curiosity, I was curious to see, and when it actually did go over that stain, it did a great job at actually sucking it all, cleaning it all without oversaturating the mopping pads. And that's again because the rotating brush is constantly being fed with fresh water, and that dirty water is squeegeed out into a dirty water tank. And at the end of that, the robot was a mess. Even the vacuum brush got some ketchup on it, so that's why I wouldn't recommend this for fresh stains. But if it does go over such a stain, I'm happy to see that it actually does clean it well. I sent it back to the base and did that deep cleaning. And I was curious to see what temperature it's cleaning at. Now, I could not get close enough to the actual rolling brush because it's inside the station, but my thermal camera read around 50 degrees Celsius. So chances are the temperature of the water is actually higher than that. And this is what the brush roll looked like after that cleaning, which I think it did a fairly good job at cleaning the brush roll. And this is all the dirty water that was extracted and collected in the dirty water tank. And after the cleaning session, it started drying the brush roll, and my thermal camera showed a temperature of a little over 60 degrees, which is great and matches their claim of 63 degrees Celsius brush roll drying. The drying was also quite silent. I had it in the same room as me and I can barely hear it, which is great. Now, in terms of navigation and its obstacle avoidance, I set a course for the robot with socks, slippers, a cable, and feces in case you have pets and you often have feces around your house. And it did a great job at avoiding all of these. Now, I did have the robot clean the house multiple times just to see real-world testing of its navigation abilities, and I would say 9 out of 10 times it did not get stuck on anything. There was that occasional time where it would swallow a sock or a cable, but 8 or 9 out of 10 times it navigated the house. Even though I purposely left it a bit messy with absolutely no issues, it did not get stuck or eat up anything. Where it did get stuck, however, and there I was very disappointed, was on my carpets. So I do have high pile carpet, and that's the only carpet I have, and the robot was not able to clean that carpet. It kept triggering an error that the side brush is tangled, although it wasn't tangled. Now on the second run, it did manage to clean the carpet, which was surprising, but then I sent it out a couple of times and I realized it does get stuck every now and then on that high pile carpet, giving the side brush stuck error, whereas my other robots usually have no issue with that. So something to keep in mind if you have high pile carpets. Now the last test that I did, the anti-hair tangle, and again here I was a bit disappointed. Now, in all fairness, I did start up with a lot of hair, partly because the last test that I did was on the Roborock F25 Ace. That's a wet and dry vacuum. And with the Roborock F25, the anti-hair tangle was beyond amazing. No matter how much hair I put on the floor, there was absolutely none that were tangled on the brush roll. So I guess I got all hyped up and I had that high expectations from the D-Bot. So I started off with a lot of hair. It's extremely unlikely that you're going to have this much hair in one spot in your house, and it failed miserably. As you can see, all the hair got stuck on the brush roll. So I ran the test again and I put less hair, and again it was a lot for it, and the hair was still getting stuck on the brush roll. Now eventually I did what I think is a more realistic scenario where there was just a few strands of hair. Those seemed fine. It didn't tangle much. There was still some tangling, but it wasn't too bad. I guess I got ruined by seeing how the Roborock F25, and again, that's not a robot, that's a wet and dry stick vacuum, but I was hoping for or expecting better from the D-Bot, especially with how they advertised the anti-hair tangle technology. Now, I would say for most use cases, it's probably gonna be fine in your day-to-day cleaning, unless you have a lot of hair, whether it's pets shedding their hair or someone else, in which case, if you have a lot of hair concentrated in one area, it might struggle. So here are my thoughts on the Ecovacs X8 Pro Omni. I think it's a great robot, but it's not perfect. It's not quite there. I'm very happy to see the mainstream brands starting to develop rolling mop robots, and it's a great first attempt at that from Ecovacs, but it's not quite there yet. I was expecting it to be a little better, but that might be asking too much today. As a first attempt at this kind of robot, I think it is great. The cleaning tests were great. Even though the edge cleaning performance was not fantastic, it still did a fairly good job. The mop washing and drying was great as well and did a good job at that. I love how much you can customize in the cleaning, whether it's with the water outflow or how many passes it does or the order of cleaning rooms. I really like how much customization you can do. And I was very happy with the intelligent remopping feature that can detect stains and then go back to them and keep on attacking them until they're gone. I was less impressed with the anti-hair Tangle, and unfortunately my high pile carpet, which kept triggering an error and stopping the vacuuming. But all in all, I think it's a great machine and great start to rolling mopping robots. Now, my recommendation is if you're in the market for a mopping robot and you have the budget for this, and then I definitely recommend it. However, if you already have a mopping robot that you're perfectly happy with, I personally would not upgrade to this yet. I'll wait and see what a new version and what other brands might start developing with mopping robots before biting the bullet and upgrading to this one. But if you don't have a mopping robot, or the one you have is quite old and you're not happy with it, and you want to buy one right now, I think the Ecovacs X8 Pro Omni would be an excellent choice. I stand by my theory that rolling brush mopping is the way to clean versus rotating or vibrating mops. I think there's a lot of merit to that system of cleaning, and probably in the years to come, I think all robots should clean that way. So that's it for me. I will put links in the description to the Ecovacs X8 Pro Omni. These are affiliate links, so if you do decide to purchase one, I would really appreciate if you would go through these links. It will be at absolutely no extra cost to you, but I may earn some commission on some purchases. This will greatly help support the channel. As always, if you liked the video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing to my channel, as this encourages me to continue producing content. Until next time, cheers.